I've heard pianists say to me, I am not an accompanist. And I know what they mean. They haven't been trained as an accompanist. Maybe they don't like accompanying, they don't feel comfortable accompanying, or they just know that they don't do as good of a job as someone else does. But I believe that every pianist is an accompanist and should embrace that role. Hear me out. If you are a pianist who is at an intermediate or advanced level with your solo repertoire, most likely someone has asked you to accompany them at some point. Maybe a singer plopped a score in front of you and asked you to play it, or the church choir director asked you to play for a choir rehearsal. If you're a piano teacher, you have likely accompanied your students on duets, or maybe you've had them sing while you play. On more than one occasion, I've gotten a call from a former student saying, "Hey, I was asked to accompany this thing and I'm not sure what to do." If you can relate to any of these scenarios, you are in the right place. I'm Rachel Ehring, and I love teaching regular pianists how to feel confident accompanying other musicians. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 things that you can easily implement right away that will help you become a real accompanist and set you apart from the pianists who say they don't know how to accompany. Think of this as your secret beginner's guide to accompanying. The first thing that sets apart great accompanists from just regular pianists, and this is a big one, is that they listen differently. As a solo pianist, we are taught to listen only to the sound of the piano. We work very hard to bring out that melody line, and we listen to the texture and dynamics, but ultimately we're only listening to the piano. As an accompanist, 90% of your listening has to be tuned in to the other person who is playing. You first of all need to listen for balance, which can be tricky from your seat at the piano bench. But my rule of thumb is that if you can't hear your soloist, you are likely playing too loud. Make sure you can hear them first of all, and then start listening to the different voices, not the ones in your head. But can you hear the melody? Is your left hand supporting the full sound? Are you thinning out the register that they are playing in so that you aren't competing with their sound? Now, some of these are a little bit more advanced. So if you're new to accompanying, just focus on the first one. Can you hear the soloist over the sound of the piano? The second thing that will set you apart from the pack of regular pianists is knowing how to follow a soloist. Or if you're accompanying a choir, it would be following the conductor. We're going to talk about accompanying a soloist in this video. I'll do another video about accompanying choirs since it's a little bit different. So you're accompanying a soloist and you want to be a good follower. What does that even mean? First of all, it comes back to listening. You have to listen carefully to everything they're doing, from tempo to dynamics to phrasing. If your soloist comes in at a different tempo than how you played the introduction, then you adjust to their tempo. One of my pet peeves is getting to the end of a piece and the soloist says, "Can we take the whole thing a little faster?" My response is always, "Play it faster when you come in and I'll follow you." Sometimes we have to let young musicians know that they are the leader when it comes to the tempo. As a little side note, this can be a strange dynamic if you are a grown-up and you're playing with young musicians. They think that you are in charge of everything because you're older, and yes, you can make suggestions and you can play in a way that will challenge them to be better musicians. But they also need to learn how to lead and communicate what they want to their pianists. If you're just starting out with accompanying and you are here for the basics, learning how to follow is your second step. However, if you want to go to the next level, I want to mention that there are times in accompanying when you will actually be the leader. For example, if you're playing an orchestral reduction, you almost have to play the role of the orchestra conductor. A full orchestra isn't going to adjust the tempo the way a single pianist can, so staying more steady might be more appropriate. There are going to be times when you are accompanying young musicians that you might actually have a better sense of the correct tempo than they do, believe it or not. There have been a few select times when I haven't followed the soloist because I know that if we take their tempo, they're going to run out of breath, or we're going to get to the end and they're going to say, "Can we take a faster tempo?" Even though that's the tempo that they set. It can be a bit of a balancing act as an accompanist, but the more you do it, the better you will get at knowing when to lead and when to follow. The third thing that sets apart great accompanists is their sight reading abilities. Now, in an ideal world, we would always get the music well in advance and never have to sight read anything. But I've been an accompanist long enough to know that doesn't always happen. And even if it did, we are often asked to learn so much music that there isn't time to properly practice it all unless you have really good sight reading skills. If you think about it, the better you are at sight reading, the more you get paid. Because typically we aren't paid for our practice time. If a gig pays $300, but you have to spend 30 hours learning the music, that's not a great rate. But if you can play through the music in 30 minutes and then spend 30 minutes practicing the tricky parts, that $300 gig sounds much more attractive. So think of improving your sight reading as increasing your hourly rate. I have a simple 7-part sight reading framework that I teach inside my 7-day self-paced sight reading challenge. If you would like to improve your sight reading in the next 7 days, I challenge you to take this on. It only takes a few minutes each day. You'll watch a very short video and then put into practice sight reading using the techniques that I teach in the videos. The link is in the description below. And did I mention it's only $7? That's a pretty good investment for increasing your hourly rate. I hope that this video is helpful for you. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, because I have more accompanying tips and tricks coming your way in the future. I'll talk to you then.